No planning is my planning. Yes. There is no other place in the world with such diversity. Nowhere else is as diverse and has as pleasant a climate as Kerala. For the Europeans, the so-called Sahibs, their biggest dream is to settle in the tropics. They love the idea of coming here and making it their home. There was a bit of a profession involved as well. For the foreigners, the reason why sunlight is so precious is because it is so abundant for us that we don't realize its value. Isn't that right? We are truly one of the land's most blessed by nature with biodiversity. That's what I feel. The world's most blessed people have equal amounts of day and night. That's what I meant. That's what I was saying. We are among them. Yes, I have officially started my journey. Dr. TPS, hello, greetings. Hello, greetings. Arun Tathagatan, hello, greetings. Hello, greetings. In 567 days, about 17,000 kilometers, almost all of Europe traveled by bicycle. Now we have a Malayali here. If you add another 17,000 kilometers to 17,000, you could circle the earth. That 34,000 kilometers, nearly. But if you say 40, that's the equator, right? Now, if we take a land route and do a round at our latitude, it would be around 20,000 kilometers. This Europe that we mentioned. If you look at the northern part of India, let's move on. This video is powered by BSAT Group of Institutions, Ernakulam. That's how it came back. Now it's been 2 months. It's been a month. There, because of winter, for one reason, to return. After 2 pockets of winter were over, we came back. We came back. Okay, so from where, in which country is the journey? The journey started from the Paris Olympics venue. It starts there. That will be in July 2024. So from here, we took the vehicle and went to Paris. From there, if you look at the visa conditions, we have to start from there first. It's possible to start from there. I still have 2 years left. From the date I requested to the date I requested, it's multiple. They gave the release. For the visa, there weren't any major difficulties. There was no difficulty at all. The most difficult thing, the hardest thing in the world, this Shankar visa is an American visa. But even more difficult than that is getting a job. If you want to get something easily, like a certificate from the village office, that's when I find it the hardest. A government official himself has to say that. That's how the work goes, right? In government days, even that must be said. All right, starting the journey from Paris on the first day, starting the journey from the Olympic Stadium. Inside the Olympic Stadium, it's extremely expensive. There was no way to get in. So I just took my vehicle and was walking through the Olympic Village roads towards it. Then a lady came up to me, saw my vehicle and stopped me. She had a northeastern look, a foreign look. She asked, "You're from India, right?" I said, "Yes." Then she asked, "You came here but didn't go to the Paris Olympics?" No, because the ticket costs 1,000 euros, which is about 1 lakh rupees. She said, "Oh, you came all the way here and couldn't watch the Olympics. That's really unfortunate. I'll do one thing. I have 12 tickets for tomorrow's Olympics with me. One is for the hockey match in which India is playing the next day, and then for the athletics events in the main stadium." She asked which one I wanted. I didn't even know her, had never met her before. I was really surprised that day. That's how the journey began. Then, imagining in my mind that our journey was starting from in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, we set off. Arun, German. No one was there to flag off or anything like that. There was nothing like that. So, as a symbolic gesture, before I left from Kochi at Tevara, the college students, I'm not an alumnus there, I never studied there, but they took it up as one of their events and sent me off on my journey. That's how it happened. Our film director, Lal Jose, and others, in a similar symbolic way, did something like that. I went to the airport from there itself. So did you plan out each day's journey in advance? No planning is my planning. On the first day from Paris, it will start. There was nothing like that, no planning at all. Then when I reached there, before that, I had done a trip to East Asia. That was a journey that took exactly 1 year. And I started it from India itself, from Manipur in India to Myanmar. On a two-wheeler cycle? Yes, on a cycle. So you mean just a single bicycle? If you say bicycle, it means two-wheeler. That's right. When you say cycle, cycle could mean anything, even a motor. Yes, it could be a cycle. Actually, that's how it is. Everyone just says bike. It's called a bike, right? The name is bike. That's what it's called. So after starting from India, it went along our eastern coast, then through Myanmar, entered Myanmar, then Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. After reaching Indonesia, there was a Frenchman who had been in Goa. He had lived in Goa, Kerala for 5 years. He was doing business in Bali, Indonesia. He really loves Kerala and India. He took me to his house, and there, mostly textile business is happening. He has a restaurant there, and he was staying there. When he found out that I was there, he messaged me, his friend from here. On the way from France to Switzerland near Mulhouse, there is a place called Fontainebleau. There too, people wish to see you. You said you wanted to go, so in Ferrarians, we hear things like this. After marriage, once the children turn 15, they leave the house. Then, if they want to go to their father's place, they have to stay with their father, and if they want to go home, the father has to come along. If I want to come on Sunday, I have to get permission at 3 o'clock. Likewise, no one else will be taken home just like that anymore. That's the truth. But to me, it was really amazing. They called me to a bead like that, and then to their house. His wife is Indonesian, and they brought her along too. I was really surprised. When we say etta pajam, ripe plantain, it might seem trivial to us, but for suddenly he will understand always they have taken it week by week, 1 week at a time. If we leave Kerala in India, the next place you find etta pajam plantain is in Indonesia. After that, if you want to get it, it's in Africa, Brazil, only in a few places in the world. Even now, whether it's Robusta or our own variety, Kerala is far ahead in this. We have over 300 varieties of this, so many types of bananas, so many types of mangoes. Nowhere else in the world is there this much diversity. Nowhere else is there as much variety and such a good climate as we have in Kerala. For the Saipanmar, the Europeans, their biggest dream was to settle in the tropics. So, while we are sitting here without knowing any of this, they wanted to make this region their permanent home. If they had a little bit of a profession, that's what they would say. If they stayed a bit closer, it means they wouldn't have to worry about water. They would write that in their papers, not otherwise. That is our perspective on this. But still, things have started to change quite a bit now. In some places, things have changed a lot. For example, in Hyderabad, there is a place called Economic City. And that place is actually better than Europe. Okay, so now, suppose you meet an old friend after a week, and by then you are almost 1,000 kilometers away from Paris. That's what I was thinking. There's no planning. Anyway, with this visa, every 3 months you have to do this in the European Union countries. And that means inside Europe, outside, it's all for 1 month, 3 months. This is what it means. This is called Schengen 19. The special thing is the Indian passport is now ranked 87, or rather, it's ranked 8,789. Even if you are Korean or Japanese, or even if you are from the US, everyone has to enter inside Europe the same way. If you are not a European citizen, you can only stay for a certain number of days. Right now, you can stay for 90 days within that period. Out of 180 days, you can stay a maximum of 90 days. If it's a multiple entry visa, you can travel multiple times, but altogether, even then, the usability is only for those 90 days. For them too, it's of great value. So I also got it for 90 days, so we are going with those 90 days. What I thought was we could travel from Germany all the way to Bulgaria. Which month was it? It started in July, right in the middle of summer. So the plan was to exit before winter started. Also, since this was our first time flying, we had to show a return flight ticket. If not, and if you don't show a confirmed ticket, it could affect the good reputation of us Indians. That's why there was no way to show any actual proof. So, because of that, I booked a confirmed ticket to Dubai and kept it ready. From there, it was about 1,300 kilometers, and my plan was to cover that distance on foot within 3 months. So, I started walking straight to Germany. While walking to Germany, after checking everything about Germany, I heard about a place called Mulhouse, and someone mentioned visiting there. When I reached the border of France and checked, Germany was about 50 kilometers upwards from there. If you go 10 kilometers to the right, it's Germany, and if you go 50 kilometers straight ahead, it's Switzerland. So I decided to go to Switzerland instead. Earlier, I had no planning at all. The plan was made suddenly. I would change it in between. The biggest advantage of traveling alone is that you can change your plans whenever you want. That's the biggest advantage of solo travel. Otherwise, if there are two of us, even if we are very close friends, there will always be discussions like, why are we changing the plan? We should go as we decided. Before I even say that I want to go to Switzerland first, I have to think about how to present it to the other person. Then, as time passes with all these discussions, without realizing it, we might drift apart. That's my experience with solo travel. One question, where did you stay each day starting from the very first day? For about the first week, I stayed in a hostel inside Paris. A hostel means in one room like this, there will be bunk beds, and sometimes there will be 10 or 12 beds in a shared accommodation. So it will only cost us a small amount of money. There will be a shared toilet and a kitchen. That's the advantage inside. Then moving on to tents, renting them is also an interesting experience. And the tent I used was one I bought from Thailand. So it was a small tent that I set up. Even though it was summer, when night falls and the wind picks up, it gets quite cold here at night. When staying on the roadside, we decide where to set up. During summer, it will be around 11 at night, and you can only set up the tent after that. You can't do it before. Also, in Europe, there is a law that in many places setting up a tent is not allowed. Then, in some places, there are camping stations. These camping stations are places where setting up a tent is specifically allowed. The rule is that you should set up your tent there. The reason is that in other places you might be attacked by wildlife or there could be security issues. That's why in many European countries it's officially not allowed. However, they often turn a blind eye to these things, as long as we don't disturb them or cause any trouble. So as night falls, you should know that these countries have quite a few homeless people. Therefore, the police and the state are very vigilant. When night falls and it gets dark, sometimes suddenly, you might have to quickly move to the back of this road, or sometimes it will be a small card, or sometimes you'll have to pay rent in a park. That's how it was. By morning, I would continue on again. There were never any incidents on the roads. It's surprising that in these 2 or 2.5 years, there hasn't even been a single attempt. Maybe that's just luck. Like I said before, it feels like someone is protecting me and taking care of me. That's how I feel. I always ask myself how many kilometers I travel in a day. This isn't about setting a record. When I travel, it's more about discovering where I'm going and seeing inner perspectives rather than just sights. That's why, instead of just walking a lot for the sake of it, I try to meet more people. Because of that, I usually try to limit it to 50 kilometers a day. Of course, there have been occasions when I had to walk 100 or 150 kilometers. Still, I always try to keep it to 50. A maximum of 50 kilometers in one day. On a bicycle, I travel 50 kilometers at a speed of 2000 and 25 at a speed of 25. In the past, there used to be a London to Kolkata bus route. Do you know? I've seen the photo. In one day, it was 300 to 350 kilometers, and in 50 days, it was 17,000 kilometers. Oh, wow. So the bus traveled for 50 days, right? So 50 days. The average is 350, so let's figure out the speed at which one bus was traveling. This is 17 times faster than him, so that's what it means for one bus. On average, it travels 50 kilometers, but there are people who regularly travel 200 or more. There are about 100 people, many people, but each of them has a different perspective. What we are seeking are perspectives. What matters is that we are seeing. Foreigners are generally a bit more reserved about such things. They don't intend to mingle much with people. That's less common among them. Sometimes, as an Indian and as part of our culture, I like to see people and smile at them. I had put a board inside my vehicle for that. That's what spreading is about. I even wrote it inside my t-shirt. Science Frontiers, that's written by combining French and English, a world without borders. And spreading smiles, spreading happiness. When I was in school, the thing I was most criticized for was always smiling. Back then, I thought that was a bad thing, but today I understand. There are fewer people who spread happiness. Most people just keep it to themselves. I realized that it is actually my greatest strength. Those smiles you see, they matter. So about 80 kilometers. So right now, how is the food? I was vegan at that time and everything was from super great markets there. In those small towns, in the little villages, there are only farmlands. When you go further, you'll find just a few small houses here and there. What's interesting about the farmland is that in Europe, you're not allowed to build houses on farmland everywhere. Farmland is meant only for cultivation. If you want to build a house, it has to be a farmhouse. And even then, only after you've generated revenue from farming for a certain period can you build a farmhouse there. Otherwise, you can't just build a room or anything. For example, if I have 100 hectares of land, I can only transfer it as 100 hectares to the next person. You can't divide it up and leave it fallow. You have to keep cultivating it. If you transfer it, the next person can only build one farmhouse for the entire 100 hectares. That's why farming continues there. It was surprising. Even when traveling from France to Switzerland in Europe, which are such wealthy countries, you can still see cultivated farmlands everywhere because they will not allow even a single inch of farmland to go unused. You won't see large machinery or big machines or laborers just sitting idle like here. Nowhere will you find even a single worker standing around. Yet large scale farming is happening everywhere. How intense was the heat from this sun? At first, it was really hot because it was summer, but when it comes to the heat at night, it's not like the intense heat we experience here. It's scorching hot here, but over there, it's even hotter. That guy is now here. Iran is the hottest place in the world. Turkey and all those places on the way to Belgium. Everywhere along that route, it can reach up to 40 degrees. Throughout this 40-degree heat, at first, I would move away from the sun whenever I could, and that's how it was. After a while, towards the last part of the journey, after about 189 months, my skin started to crack. When your skin cracks and blisters, you can't just run to a hospital and get it treated there. The medical store will tell you about it, show you, maybe take a photo, and they'll give you some ointment. For the time being, how could we go there? After a while, it was still the same. When I went with the list to a medical store, they told me it was due to a deficiency of vitamin D and gave me some natural vitamin D capsules. I don't know if it was because of that, but anyway, within 12 months, it got better. After that, wherever I saw sunlight during the last year, I enjoyed it fully. Even now, I still like sunlight after that experience. When do we realize it? Why do foreigners value sunlight so much? It's because we get it in such abundance that we don't realize its worth. We live in one of the most naturally and biologically diverse countries in the world. This is something we should mention. Our people don't know this. Okay, so at first, I used to take it twice a day, once in the morning and once at 11 o'clock, because if you're eating out at a restaurant, usually it's just one meal, then maybe some fruit or something like that. Superb chocham, great market teachers, Muslims will buy it. There will always be a little available. I usually have some dry fruits in hand and I mix those. Just put it in some water and you can get everything there. You'll get oats milk or nut milk, or if you ask for vegan milk, you'll get a packet. If you keep one packet with you, it will last for 2 or 3 days. Mixing this and that together, I'll eat something. Then, as for fruit, by fruit over there, there's only one type of banana, and it doesn't really have any taste. There's just that one kind of banana available. You'll get a lot of items just as you like, and says, some people say that in Europe, the taste of bread is something you have to get used to, and the calories are written right on it. For us, bread is just bread. You might even spit it out after putting it in your mouth. It's like a lifeless black stone with no taste at all. Almost 99%, but that is the most nutritious for us. In some of the places he has been to, let's say now we've gone to Finland, when you say day in Finland during summer, it's actually 8 p.m. So, what we call day here, instead of being 12 hours, sometimes the night is only about 4 or 1 hours long. You get more than 12 hours of daylight there. Even now, while he is sitting here and the world is moving, and even with all the travel that TPS has done, there's one thing I feel like saying. The most blessed people in the world are those who get equal amounts of day and night. We are among them. We are fortunate. I don't know if our people are unable to recognize this or if we just don't realize it ourselves. No, I often say this. When our education system in India was changed, and with the new education policy, people went to learn from Finland. People who live in a country where there are 20 hours of night and who sleep at 4 o'clock, and we who live with just 12 hours of day and night are trying to bring in an education system from such a small country. What fools we are, thinking that we can just take whatever they give us as we please. The world's most perfect calendar, March 21st, is when the season starts, they say. TPS knows this, and TBS can explain it even better. March 21st is the equinox, equal day and night all over the world. On that day, March 21st, India's official calendar celebration was introduced in 1980 by Vikramacharya. That is our official calendar, our energetic calendar. It goes up to February. The original contradiction is that it's not January to December. That's why I mentioned it now. When we say Yugadi, the Vishu or Ugadi we celebrate starts about a week later. It's because of some calculation variations that it started from that time. That's why it's in October. When we say December, Dec actually means 10, so October is referred to as the 10th month. Understand that November, Nov, means the 11th month. In such months, you can see the difference of two there. Because of this shift to January and February, that's why our calendar is like this. Then all the wealth calculations, budget and all that, actually, New Year is always the same. Yes, for them, it just felt like a pop, just one day in their sleep. It's just one thing, when they stretched it out, later that place changed to try August. So during the period of those two people, July and August were combined in between just to name their children, and then it was shifted to this. Okay. No, all this knowledge that I'm sharing, it's not just that he talks, right? Along with that, the knowledge, and then geography. Have you written geography? You have written, haven't you? Nothing much. You keep writing. Actually, my favorite subject is geography. But when I was studying in school, the worst teacher I had was for geography. So I didn't like it at all. The teacher shouldn't hear this though. Today, the thing I like the most is this group one field, because inside geography, there's physics, there's the chemistry of maths, there's everything from rocket science onwards. Everything is simple. There's also fantastic ticks. And along with that, there's a big thing. GIS and Google Maps are what matter in today's world.